Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Season 7 premiere of Sportsballin, your home for all things Tennessee pro sports. My name is Ethan Marcum, and alongside me, Connor Smith and Jace Vincent. Guys, how are we tonight?
Guys, I am fabulous. Just excited to sit here and talk ball with my boys, so let's get after it.
Ready to talk ball and debut our new host, Ethan. Ready to have you along.
Really do appreciate it, guys. We'll go ahead and dive right on in to the coverage. Last night, the biggest game in all of American sports took center stage, but unfortunately, the game just did not live up to the hype this time around as the Eagles dominated the Chiefs 40-22. Guys, what really happened last night?
You know, the saying defense wins championships really came to fruition. You look at it, 6 sacks, 11 quarterback hits, 2 interceptions, and a pick six by the rookie Cooper DeJean. Combine that with a potent rushing attack from Jalen Hurts, a couple deep shots, one to Smitty. You know, that just was too much for the Chiefs to overcome, even with the late comeback.
And what was a fun stat, really, was that in that catch for Devontae Smith, that was the first ever Alabama player to get a touchdown in the Super Bowl, which I find
kind of crazy.
I found it hard to believe, really, seeing it. But really leading up to that game, you can really tell the Eagles, they had all the talent, all the Alabama and Georgia players on their defense. And really going into it, they set the tone and made it known. Saquon Barkley gets his first ever Super Bowl, getting out of that purgatory in the Giants. And really they finally got it done. The Eagles really, it'll be fun to ask later really what they did really to change over the course of the last couple seasons really to get up to this point. But really just watching them and Nick Sirianni finally getting over the hump was cool to see really, and then finally putting that talent to work.
Absolutely, it's just awesome to see. The game wasn't even close just from the get-go. Aside from an early turnover from Jalen Hurts, that Chiefs defense had no answers for the Eagles.
Absolutely not. And I think the thing that was the most impressive about the game is, I mean, you can out-physical someone, out-physical, outspeed, out-athleticize someone in college. In the pros, you're the same. I mean, same size and all that. So whenever you beat someone like this, it just shows how much more talented and better you are at your craft.
Absolutely. I mean, they just went out there and dominated. There was nothing the Chiefs really could do. It didn't even look like you had two fair teams. It honestly looked like you have an early season matchup between Alabama and Mercer, right? And you get a final score of like 62-7. It just wasn't close.
Got the middle school versus the high school.
No, not at all. It was not really, it didn't really seem like a fair matchup from the word go. The refs didn't factor into the game, was pretty fairly appreciated. And really, Philadelphia really just said from the word go, even despite that awful pass interference call in the beginning, they scored later anyway on the tush push, and it really ended up really not mattering. And Philadelphia really, for the majority of the season, really, the Kansas City, they were 15-1, 15-2, really. But you really didn't feel like that they were really the best team in the league. And it was really more of like, you could tell like Philadelphia or someone really along those lines was going to win a Super Bowl this year. Although Kansas City is being a really good team, that's just really kind of like where I stand my stance this season.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. They just dominated. They had a great team all year long. You could tell the Chiefs going into this game definitely had some things to work out on offense especially, but their playmakers didn't show up, and Mahomes spent pretty much the entire game just running for his life.
And I think that's really part of their age of what they have right here on this team. Really, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes aging. I think that's kind of where they have like aged a little bit, and they're at the end of their contracts really.
As we continue to discuss last night's game, we'll now have a guest from Sportsballin's past. We welcome back our very own Christian Dunham. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. It is good. It's weird to be back, but it's good to be back. I wasn't in front of the camera last time, so.
I'm sure that you are flying high like an eagle after last night's game.
Oh my gosh. Go Birds, fly Eagles fly. I'm feeling fantastic today.
Yeah. You know, obviously it was a blowout from the start, but 10-0. Eagles are on Kansas City side of the field. You're thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to go up 17-0. This ball game's over. Jalen underthrows a ball pretty badly. It's picked off. Mm-hmm. You know, did you ever think this is where the Chiefs kind of creep back in and make it a ball game, or do you have confidence in your boys to get it done?
Man, I had some pretty high confidence in Jalen last night, just because, I mean, he's had this mentality the entire season of, I'm just going to get it done. He had that great quote of, I had a purpose before anybody had an opinion, and he's kept that throughout the entire season. He's stayed stoic and he stayed strong, and then, you know, he's also just had a whole bunch of weapons on his side to help him out.
And a question that I'll follow up to that is really, what does this do for Nick Sirianni's career, and really, how does this help this Eagles franchise get over the hump to possibly become a next dynasty to follow up what Kansas City's done?
Oh, man. I mean, going into this season, there was a whole lot, because Eagles fans, you know us, we're passionate. Even if you're with us, we'll point the gun at you, you know. So at the beginning of the season, we didn't want Sirianni there. We didn't think he could pull it off. Mm-hmm. And we thought he was having a mental breakdown. Like, we were getting sick of this guy. And then out of nowhere, he picked it up and, you know, no pun intended, he flew with it, you know. I'm curious. Yeah, no, I haven't thought about that much. It's going to be interesting to kind of see the way he moves now, because now he doesn't have a lot of pressure on him anymore. But at the same time, he still does. It's going to be interesting the next couple of years to see how Sirianni's legacy plays out for the Eagles.
And kind of the way I'll follow up to that is a bit of a two-parter, or follow up the other one is really how does this team go moving forward with the pieces that they have and all that young talent?
Man, yeah, I mean, we've got a solid lineup now, man, especially compared to 2 years ago. 2 years ago, you know, there was some guys getting washed up, and, you know, I don't think the team was as tight as they are now. Now we got the youngest defensive line in history. We got the heaviest defensive line in history. We've got weapons on the defense, you know, like Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship, our own MTSU boy, who are killing it out there. We also got Saquon Barkley out there. He's absolutely, I mean, he broke records like none other before this season. It's been incredible to watch. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they take now that they have this legacy of winning a Super Bowl, being a Super Bowl winning team, and run with it. I'm curious to see if they'll push farther than they did the last Super Bowl winning team, because the one with Nick Foles, they fell apart immediately that following season. So it's going to be fascinating.
Thanks, Christian. Always great to have a guest. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we've got the NFL Draft, college basketball, and more here soon.
I was trying to fix all the things that were going on. Ryan's daydreaming, an inability to focus.
It was just frustrating to get my mom to understand what I was going through.
So that's when we talked to a doctor, and she was diagnosed with ADHD. It just explained so many things for us.
Hyperactivity isn't the only symptom of ADHD. Inattentive symptoms like Ryan's can be less noticeable. Learn more. Get the ADHD symptom checklist at keepmomming.com. Then talk with your daughter's doctor.
Keep momming.
I'm a firefighter.
A teacher.
I'm a farmer. I'm a barber.
A waitress.
A mom.
We're all part of your community. Every day we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good,
Others not so much.
But that's life. It's when you experience a moment of uncertainty. Something or someone's behavior that doesn't seem quite right.
These are the moments to take a pause.
With the NFL season officially over, now all eyes turn to the upcoming draft. The Tennessee Titans hold the first overall pick, but in a class where there's no clear first choice, rumors have surfaced that the Titans appear to be shopping that pick. Guys, if the Titans do decide to trade their pick, who do you want them to trade with, and who do you think they'll draft?
Well, you know, first off, if I was the Titans GM, I would take Abdul Carr #1, but that's not the question. So I would trade back forward to the Patriots, because the teams ahead of you, they're quarterback needy teams, the Giants and the Browns. So you would think they'll probably take Cam Ward and or Shadur or Travis Hunter, so then you can still get some draft compensation back and then get Abdul Carter at 4.
That's kind of what I think with Tennessee is, if I have the choice, I would take Abdul Carter #1, because I think he's the best player all around in this draft. And they kind of do need players on the defensive line. They have defensive ends, but they need more depth really in that position. And this year's really not the year for a quarterback. So my plan is really, you can trade back, get some picks for the future, and you can still get Abdul Carter, and you can really go and probably get a bridge veteran quarterback, possibly like Sam Darnold, Taylor Heineke, someone just that's in free agency that can really be a veteran morale booster in that locker room to really bring them up moving forward from a 3-14 season.
What do you say to the crowd that says draft Cam Ward?
I say don't reach on a quarterback if it's not the one you want. This quarterback class is mid compared to the ones we've had in the past. Why reach for a quarterback in this draft when you can go, like he said, get a bridge quarterback for the right price and then get an Arch Manning, maybe Nico if he finally progresses in next year's draft?
And there's really a lot of options, really. You can even look at even younger Julian Sana, Ohio State. There's so many just, I think, better younger quarterbacks in the future that just think like this is the year just like you can go and get like just a random guy like a Josh Johnson really out of free agent. I'm not going to go that low, but you can get someone that has like veteran experience is really what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As we move back to that pick, it's first overall pick. There's a lot you can get from that. So if you do trade that pick, what are you looking to get out of it?
You know, we saw what the Panthers got when they, or not the Panthers, well, what they traded away when they got Bryce Young, the #1 overall pick. I I don't think you would get quite that, but trading back to number 4, maybe you get 2 seconds, a second and a third, something along those lines. And then obviously the first trade back.
Yeah, I just think when you're looking at here, if you're Mike Borgonzi and you're in the Titans front office now, you got to try and be really the opposite of what Rand Carthon was. You can't just be like avoiding the media and really just being like, oh yeah, everything is great on this side. The ship's heading up in the right direction here. And I also think it's just most of the problems of Tennessee are their front office. And I just think that they have to be able to address those issues and get the right guys in there this season.
Absolutely. There's a lot of pressure on that front office to make the right pick and come away with a stud. But moving away from the NFL, we now take a look at college basketball. And this past weekend was highlighted by 2 games, as number 2 Duke was defeated by unranked Clemson 77-71, and the Florida Gators knocked off the number 1 team, Auburn. Guys, what have we learned about these teams following another great weekend of basketball?
That anyone's gettable on any given day. You look at Auburn, I think we can agree they're probably the clear-cut number 1 team in the country. It's why they're still number 1 in the AP poll despite losing. So even these teams like Auburn, if you're not on your A game, you're playing a Florida, or if we're going to NCAA tournament, an Iowa State, St. John's, you can be got on any given day just because of how deep college basketball this year.
And that's just what I think really mostly the SEC really. Some weeks you're going to play Florida and Auburn in the same week, or you're going to play Alabama and Missouri in the same week. You might get lucky and you're going to get South Carolina and
Vanderbilt.
LSU, really, well, not even Vanderbilt, they're a fringe top 25 team. Let's give them credit. But really even the ACC, everyone loves to hate on the ACC, but then you have a team like Clemson go in, that's a tough place to play. You have Kentucky and now Duke both going down in that arena, and something could be brewing up there in Death Valley, possibly to be another run to a Sweet 16 again. Really could be really what they could build there with Brad Brownell that they have there.
And you mentioned the SEC. 4 of the top 5 teams in the AP poll are in the SEC. Number 5, Tennessee. Number 3, I believe, is Alabama, 2, Florida, and 1, Auburn. So you've got a lot of great teams at the top in that conference.
Absolutely, and it's clear-cut the best conference this year. I think they've swapped. They traded off football for basketball really this year, this athletic season. They've made that sort of deal, and it might pay off. You never know. They could be basketball dominant now. You've got to see it get a national title. They haven't had one since 2012 with Kentucky. Could be trying to right some wrongs there with the SEC.
Absolutely. It's been a minute since the SEC was able to win a national championship in college basketball. But keeping things a bit more local, MTSU had a very successful weekend in tennis and basketball. Both MTSU men's and women's basketball teams, along with both men's and women's tennis teams, all had dominant wins this past weekend. Guys, how do we feel about the overall state of MTSU athletics?
You know, I think MT athletics is slowly going up. I mean, you saw the football recruiting in the winter break. Number 1 transfer class in the Conference USA. Now we're back to basketball season. Women's basketball, to their standards, kind of started off slow, but since the loss to Western Kentucky, they've rattled 6 straight off. Nick McDevitt is leading the MTSU men's team to their best season in several years. Right now they're 16-8. Lost to Jacksonville State last week. Got beat up a little bit, 77-63, but then bounced back, beat Kennesaw. And now they're on their way to the first 20 regular season win season since 2021. So.
And we can even shout out the men's and women's tennis teams. Men's team always love to shout out Coach Jimmy Borndame there. They're building something strong there once again to make another NCAA tournament push. They both got wins. Men's and women's both got wins over Eastern Kentucky, clean sweeps there. They're both off to a good start. Women's tennis trying to build something special this year and build something strong there. But women's basketball team, they'll be strong again, make another NCAA tournament push. I'm excited from really watching this men's basketball team and how Nick McDevitt's really been able to work with players that he's had, like Justin Porter, really leading the way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We'll take another pause, but be sure to stick around for everyone's favorite segment. We've got hot takes coming up soon.
Serving the nation's poor and vulnerable regardless of faith, and advocating on their behalf. We are Catholic Charities.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
And now it's time for one of our personal favorite segments, Hot Takes of the Week. We'll go ahead and get things started off with Jace's hot take.
Well, I'm going to start things off. We're going to go up to New York City, MSG, where Rick Pitino is leading the St. John's Red Storm, and I think that my hot take is going to be they will make a Final Four. They have not made one since 1985. They're ranked in the top 10 this week for the first time since 2000. I think this is the year for a Big East team not named Villanova or UConn to really make a push to go to the Final Four, and I think it's St. John's and Rick Pitino.
You know, that's a good one. I mean, I think they're a really talented team. They're playing some of their best ball in the country right now. I'm going to say no just because in the sport of college basketball, you look at 3 or 4 different teams. You look at Bama, Auburn, Florida, and then Duke, maybe Iowa State. So just because those are the powerhouses that are expected to go there, I'm going to say no, but don't be surprised if they do because they're a very talented basketball team and they have Rick Pitino, who's one of the best in the business.
I wouldn't say rule out UConn yet. I know that they've struggled early on. Dan Hurley's team is not living up to his expectations, but it's still Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
He's still got a team that's coming off of a national championship. They've been great every year with Dan Hurley. So I wouldn't count UConn out just yet. I think they've definitely got some things to improve on, but that's a team that has been to that place, and they're going to keep going. So I would say that they're going to make a deep run.
And I say this St. John's team really because they went into stores and played UConn, were down 16 early in that game, 26-10, came back and won. And I think that's really just a team that's going to really build character like that in the Big East where it's never easy to win a game. They've gotten wins over Marquette, UConn, of those likes really right there. And they've really started to build a culture there over the last couple of years under Rick Pitino. And I think he's starting to get back into his old Louisville groove, minus the cheating.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's definitely been a great early start for St. John's. I think UConn can kind of get back on track. They just got to pick up some things here or there.
Yeah.
We've got Connor's hot take. Connor, what are we bringing?
You know, my hot take is I'm going to say peak Steph Curry being 2014 to 2017 was the most dominant player in NBA history. Now, I know Shaquille O'Neal, the great Michael Jordan, but listen to me, guys. Through that 4-year stretch, he was averaging 26, 7, 5, 2 with 50% shooting, got 3 rings, 3-time first-team All-NBA, 2 MVPs, and a scoring title. This guy was a straight bucket back in the day. I think it's close between him and Shaq for most dominant, but hey, if the Martians are pointing the gun at Earth, give me Curry.
I want to agree with your hot take. I really do. Because I think he is easily the best shooter of all time. I'd say the most dominant shooter of that time post Ray Allen. I just can't get over someone saying that a player is more dominant than Shaquille O'Neal in the game of basketball. And that's just where I'm going to kind of go with my take on your hot take is I think it's still Shaquille O'Neal. But Steph is, bar none, the best shooter in the game of basketball that's ever graced the game.
Okay. It's tough because I would definitely agree that Steph is the greatest shooter of all time. Shaq was great, man. I mean, every game he played, you knew he could take over. The only problem with Shaq was that he was lazy. He was one of the laziest players probably in the history of the NBA. Steph really wasn't. So I would say that Steph, just because of his work ethic, was able to get to just a slightly higher plane than Shaq was, but it's close, man.
It's also hard because you look at 2 different kind of players. One shoots the lights out of the gym, other one just straight up bodies everybody, puts them in a body bag. So very 2 different games, hard to compare.
Absolutely. It's really difficult to compare those two, but I don't know. I can't
Curry?
really settle. Curry was great. He could take over a game at any point, but at the same time, I mean,
but he never won a finals. He never won a finals MVP.
Not in that stretch, but he did overall by the end of things.
I mean, yeah, but they gave it to Andre Iguodala and Kevin Durant first.
He still won it.
It's kind of both. But we'll go ahead for my hot take. I'm going to say that the Lakers will not win another championship until after LeBron James retires. They made a big splash trade to get Luka Doncic, but the problem is that both of these guys are guys that facilitate the offense. Neither one of them has at any point in their career had to play off ball, and I just don't think they're going to be able to mesh well enough together to win a title.
You know, I really agree with that. I'm not sure if they won't win a title because, I mean, LeBron still has probably 5, 6, 7 more years left because he's that guy. They might trade Luka off, so we don't really know what's in the future. But right now, absolutely. Like you said, Luka's just like LeBron. They're facilitators. They're ball hogs. They're going to butt heads when it comes to the game plan.
And see, that's not really the thing with super teams, really, is you never know how those superstars are going to mesh or how their playing styles are going to come together. And I think that's the thing with Los Angeles, really, is how do you think Luka and LeBron are really going to mesh? They're both volume shooters, and they're both wanting to get those opportunities to score. LeBron's been on a heater, and the Lakers have won 9 out of the last 10 games, and he's at the age of 40 and getting 25 points a game, proving the point why he's one of the greatest players of all time. But you just never know how superstars like that are really going to come together and work. So it'll be interesting to see. I could see them making a finals. I don't know if I'm ready to say that they'll win a finals yet, because, I mean, like this year you have OKC and Cleveland that are easily the best record teams and could be teams that play each other, or even Boston, really.
And the other side of that, too, is who's playing in the paint now? I mean, AD's gone. They don't really have a good center behind him, and the Mark Williams trade got rescinded, so who's going to play defense in the paint?
I mean, they have Jackson Hayes, but that's really, he's a young piece that you can't really rely on really like that. He's not really grown into that role of an Anthony Davis or even a Mark Williams.
You really want to rely on Jackson Hayes to win
I'm
your
not
finals?
saying to rely on him. I'm just saying he's what they have, and he's what they have to work with for right now.
Okay.
I don't know if what they have is good enough. That's going to be the problem. That's going to be it for our hot takes. We'll be back from a quick break, and when we come back, we'll debut our newest segment. Stick around for Connor's Question of the Week.
This is Agent Williams from the tax office. Our records show an unpaid balance on your account. If you don't pay by end of day, you'll be facing jail time. Well, the fastest way to fix this is with a prepaid debit card. Can you go get one now? Yes, and we want to clear this up. If you just buy that prepaid card, put $400 on it, then call me back and read the numbers to me.
The moment they ask for a prepaid card is the moment you know something's wrong. Think before you send money. Learn more at scamawareness.org.
It started with the original care package, and millions more like it. Passed from hand to hand, across land and sea, to help survivors in the aftermath of war. As we grew, we found better ways to help those in need. Ways to make a real difference, not just today, but tomorrow as well. Be the difference in people's lives. Help deliver lasting change at care.org.
Some places have the power to transform us, connect us, move us. This is the power of place, the power of parks and open spaces to improve cities, communities, and ourselves. This is the work of the Trust for Public Land, putting open space within reach of every person in America. Help us create the power of place and healthier, happier communities nationwide.
Welcome back. We've now got our new segment, Connor's Question. Connor, what do we have this week?
Thanks, Ethan. For the inaugural Connor's Question of the week we have, is Lightning McQueen's Piston Cup streak more impressive than Tom Brady's rings? Now think about it. Two different sports, very different. Both of them have 7 rings, all right? Both of them have 7 rings, except Lightning McQueen's is about a 10-year span, Brady's is about 20. But Brady's sport obviously is probably harder to play. You know, what do you guys think?
I would say it's got to be McQueen, right? I mean, he obviously, you mentioned 10 years. He had that career-ending injury towards the end. But
absolutely,
to accomplish 7 Piston Cups,
in
10 Cups in 10 years.
He almost three-peated 3 times.
It's unheard of. 7 Piston Cups. How do you argue against that?
You can't argue against it at all. I'm going to take the side of Lightning McQueen here, because he's a real. He should have 8. Chick Hicks's one does not count. It should be 8. That's what we're going to settle that one with right there. And even against Jackson Storm there in Cars 3, he had to sub himself out for Cruz Ramirez there. But even still, he got recognized for the win. So he's better than Jackson Storm. He's better than Chick Hicks. He's better than the King. He's better than Doc Hudson. Undisputed GOAT. Now, you can argue Tom Brady. Everyone has an argument for Tom Brady, but no one has an argument for Lightning McQueen.
No, you
7
really,
Piston Cups.
You really don't. 7 Piston Cups. And then you mentioned Doc Hudson. You look at the supporting cast these guys had. You go, you know, Doc Hudson is easily better than Bill Belichick, all right? And there's no way
not even close,
to argue.
Bro.
It's not even close. And to capture 7 Piston Cups in 10 years, all right, it took Brady 20 to get his 7 rings. And honestly, you know, I don't think Brady's ever been as fast as McQueen. So, you know, who even cares?
Never. And if you really think about it, you know, he sold that last race, or he would have had the first three-peat since the Lakers.
Absolutely. And it was a, you know, you look at that one that Hicks technically won, we'll say technically. It was just a great showing of sportsmanship anyway. I say he honestly should have 8.
Asterisk.
Technically. It's an asterisk on that one. McQueen was a rookie, and he helped the King get over and finish out his career strong there. he's a winner in my heart there, and I think McQueen is the undisputed GOAT. We're out with Chick Hicks. We're out with the old. McQueen is the undisputed GOAT, and we'll go with
the greatest of all time. We'll be back again after a quick break where we'll get down everyone's picks of the week.
Everyone deserves to have a decent place to live.
Everyone. Todos.
When a future homeowner partners with Habitat for Humanity to build or improve a home, they build a better future for themselves and their families.
For my family.
Para po sa pamilya ko.
Por mi familia.
With a little help, we all have the potential to stand on our own. Through shelter, we empower. Visit Habitat.org to provide help to families like these today.
Sometimes a smile can say more than words could ever express. But what if you couldn't smile? Unfortunately, that's the sad reality for so many children today. But it doesn't have to be this way. Since 1999, Smile Train has been helping children say more than words ever could with their beautiful new smile. To learn more, call or go online now.
For our last segment, we've got our picks for the week. We're going to open things up. Grizzlies versus Suns.
You know, I think the Grizzlies have too much firepower on offense. Give me the Grizzlies.
I'll take the Grizzlies.
I would absolutely agree with both of that. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been great this season. John Morant has been dominant.
Santi Aldama.
I would say the Grizzlies easily take that game. Looking at the next matchup, it's going to be the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Kentucky Wildcats.
It's the split that's coming up. It's the split that you cannot avoid, unavoidable split. And really here, these teams always split. Tennessee can never win in Knoxville anymore. Kentucky can never win in Rupp against them, except for that one year that the Kentucky swept them. Tennessee's going to win.
Tennessee by 30.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know about 30. I'm about as big of a Tennessee fan as they come.
I'm just looking to start drama.
I don't know if I could say 30. We're prone to coming out in big games and deciding that we just don't really feel like it.
But are you going to win, though?
I'd say we'll win because of the split, but
then.
it's going to be like an 82-78 type of game.
Well, Jackson Robinson's out for Kentucky. It just really depends on if we can keep getting the same Zakai Ziegler and Chaz Lanier performances out of Tennessee really moving forward with those players being out. But Kentucky didn't have Lamont and Butler before, and they won in Knoxville, so you never know.
For our next matchup, we've got the Tennessee Volunteers versus Hofstra in baseball.
Tony Vitello is going to get done in downtown Knoxville, Tennessee, baby.
Baseballs by a million.
It's really hard to pick against Tennessee baseball, obviously the defending national champions. I think it's less of a question of who's going to win and more of, okay, how many runs are the Vols going to put up and how are they going to look coming off of that championship?
Yeah,
absolutely.
We go to our next game. It's going to be Vanderbilt versus Grand Canyon in baseball.
You know, Grand Canyon, very underrated baseball program within college baseball. But Vanderbilt, number 16 in the country, preseason poll. Just too much firepower with all their guys back from last season. So give me the Doors.
I'll take the Vandy boys over the Lopes. Vandy boys are going to get it done. Grand Canyon is a sneaky good team. They played Tennessee a couple of years ago in Phoenix, and they beat Tennessee, which has me a little bit salty about it. But, yeah, Vandy boys will get it done. They'll start off 1-0 on the season.
It's hard to pick against Vanderbilt or really any SEC team, so I guess I'll agree with both of you and say Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like that's going to be it for tonight. We thank you for tuning in and hope to see you back every Tuesday for new episodes available on Blue Raider TV and YouTube. For Connor Smith, Jace Vincent, I'm Ethan Marcum saying so long and good night.